Stargate Voyager.
I've titled this The Legend of Taga, an island mystery of giant proportions. So located north of Guam in the remote vastness of the Philippine Sea stretches the Northern Mariana archipelago chain, where two tiny islands are at the center of a giant megalithic mystery. Located on the island of Rota is what is known as the Nieves Quarry, I believe is how you pronounce it, or the Rota Latte Stone Quarry, where several massive coral-limestone megaliths lie in an unfinished state. It's amazing to see these photos. Literally these massive megaliths just lying halfway cut, on three sides. The top, the sides, and all around are cut out, but obviously the bottom was never cut. So they lie in this unfinished state as if something unexpectedly suddenly took place on this island. Again, this island is called Rota. Now, some of these blocks weigh upwards of 30 tons each, and they feature these various shapes. Now, a latte stone is also known as a Taga stone. Remember that word. And it's a two-piece structure consisting of this massive vertical base that goes up and then this hemispherical cap on top, almost like it's a hat sitting on top of this slab. Now, there's 9 bases that have been discovered and 7 caps that were found in this quarry. And some of these abandoned megaliths once stood approximately 25 feet tall. And you can see these vintage photos I've found of explorers way back in the day, like the 1930s, standing next to these massive latte or Taga stones. Now, the indigenous population are called the Chamorro people, and they have existed on the island from approximately 3000 BC, so going back 5,000 years in total. Now, if you research these Taga stones on this island, you'll find kind of the mainstream explanation is that the indigenous population on the island that are known as the Chamorro made these stones to use as foundations to construct their homes. And you can see photos of this. But my question is, these Chamorro people go back 5,000 years to 3000 BC. Did they possibly find the megaliths that were actually made way earlier and then later repurpose the stone pillars by using them as foundations to construct their homes? And again, you can see the pictures here. Now, excavations on the island have revealed that the Chamorro people buried their dead between these foundation rows where they used these pillars to set their houses on. Now, what's the most fascinating to me about this story is the ancient island oral traditions that credit the creation of this quarry, guess what, to a 10-foot tall chief from Guam named Taga, who is said to have possessed incredible strength. Now, according to the legends, as a child on Guam, Taga began demonstrating such superhuman strength that his own father was jealous of him and tried to kill him. So Taga, according to the legend, escapes from Guam to the smaller nearby island of Rota, which is about 50 miles away. Taga grows older and he eventually fought and defeated the chief of Rota, thus becoming the chief of Rota himself. Taga then married a woman and began to quarry the large stones himself in order to build a house, hence the word Taga stones. Now, for some unforeseen reason, according to legends, Taga abandons the site and moves his family to the neighboring island of Tinian. Now, Taga's reputation preceded him, and the chief who was living on this island of Tinian presented several challenges to test Taga's strength. One account states that Taga was so strong he could crush open a coconut with his bare hands. Now, after defeating the Tinian chief at 3 different challenges, Taga became chief of Tinian, where he single-handedly carved and transported the multi-ton pillars himself in order to construct his house and a village for his people. Pretty interesting oral traditions and legends there. What's more, the largest archaeological site on the Northern Mariana Islands is located on this island of Tinian, and guess what? It is still known to this day as the House of Taga, where these massive coral limestone foundations of a massive structure once stood. And you can see these photos again on the screen or by clicking the link in the show notes to be redirected to this article. Of the 12 upright stones sketched by a British explorer George Anson during his 1742 visit to Tinian, only one remains standing today. At least we got one. Now, as I dug further into the details of this legend concerning the giant Taga, I learned that the legends took a darker turn. Taga and his wife, again, this is according to some of these other oral traditions, Taga and his wife eventually produced 12 children. However, when Taga realized that his youngest son had greater strength than even he did, Taga flew into a jealous rage and murdered his own son. Grief-stricken, his wife soon died after of sorrow. So full of rage and resentment over the murder of her brother, Taga's youngest daughter surprise attacks her father Taga with a spear and spearing him to sudden death. After losing her brother, mother, and now her father, the daughter died of a broken heart. The legend states that as time passed and each of Taga's remaining children died, that their spirits would inhabit the latte stones of their father's house. And when you look at these vintage photos of these Taga stones, I mean, very megalithic. They're shaped trapezoidal. They go up like a triangle, the base. Incredible. Over time, as each individual latte stone would fall to the ground, each spirit was then said to be released. And the lone standing megalith today is said to imprison the spirit of the daughter who murdered Taga. And now you know the legend of Taga.